All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 11:15, 6:55 p.m. So I'm recording this for this week's assignment. This is Sunday night, and this week's assignment is going to be doing pockets and holes. So we're going to make a die, and die is singular for dice. So you got some options along here. There is tons of different types. We're just going to choose box because that will automatically give us a cube, which is going to be the simplest type of die. Now you could do a 12-sided die, an 8-sided die, a 10-sided die, a 4-sided die. But we're going to go with a 6-sided die. Now each of these gives you resolution, so more steps gives you more resolution. Not a big deal for square things. We'll deal with that later on. We talk about cylinders and circles. This gives you length, width, height. Obviously, if you make them all the same, you get a cube. If you don't make them the same, you get a rectangle. And then radius gives you rounded corners. It does what's called a chamfer or a fillet on the corners. So if you get it really big, it makes almost a circle. Okay. No radius of 0 gives you sharp corners. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trash this so I make sure we get a cube. There's our cube. I'm going to set the radius to about 2. Yeah, so we get nice rounded corners. All right, so here's our box. I'm going to take care of that. There's our box. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting things on the face of the box. And to do that, we're going to make things as holes. Okay, so to give you an example, if I put a cylinder in here like that, I can choose it to be solid or a hole. A hole punches into the device that I have. So if I do that, then it's going to delete this area here. It's going to say this is now a hole, and it's going to delete this chunk. Okay, so that's what a hole does. We're going to get rid of that. Now, in making our die, I'm going to go ahead and use text and numbers because I want to make like a normal die. But I'm going to make a what grade do the students get die? So I'm going to put an A in there because everybody wants an A, right? Put it wherever I want. Now the goal here is to get the A into a face of the die. So I'm going to click on it. First, I'm going to make it a hole. Now the simplest face is going to be the one down below, down there. Because I can just slide this guy right in there, and it will delete what is there. Okay, and I can also pull it out a little bit if I don't want it to be very deep. Okay, so that hole is going to delete the A into the face, so it's going to be what's called embossed. Okay, simple. All right, now let's get a B. Get a B. Now you're like, oh, how am I going to get a B on there? Well, you got some options because each one of these rotate things can be used to change the face of the B. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate it this way. Then I'm going to rotate it this way. Oh, come on. Rotate it this way. Maybe I will move our camera around. It really helps to move the camera around. If you have a mouse, this makes life so much easier. All right. Hey. Okay, well, this is annoying. But this does happen, especially in videos. Oh, let's go ahead and put this one on the top. Okay, 90 degrees. Now, when you grab the middle, you can move it around. Okay, any of these dark blocks changes the dimension. Okay, and then any of the empty box changes the size. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just slide it in there. I need to bring it up so this cone allows me to move it on the axis that I'm looking at. And I want to line it up so it's pretty deep, like about that. So that's going to cut into it and then line it up. And now I'm going to slide it over using the cone again. Oops, hold on. No, I'm not. Too deep, too deep, too deep. And there we go. Slide over this way. And now I'm going to slide this over. And right now, if I tried to print it this way, it's going to have a B that's what's called proud. As it's above something that's called proud. I'm going to click on the B, going to make it a hole, and now I've embossed the B into my cube. Okay, let's do the same thing with a C. Go ahead and turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. There we go, close enough. And turn it this way. Close enough. Oh, I almost had it. That was weird. All right, there we go. All right, let's go ahead and stick it in there. Like, oh, let's see how deep I want to get it. That's pretty good. Grab it, pull it up. And again, if I left it there, it would make a proud C. But I don't want a proud C. I want it to be embossed. So I click my circle, and now I have a circle C, ABC. Okay, you're going to do something on every face. So again, the simplest die is simply a cube, but you could make a 4-sided, 8-sided, 6-sided, 20-sided, 12-sided, 16-sided, 10-sided, whatever you want. All right, so I'm going to go normally. I'm going to export it. I'm going to export it as STL. There we go. Got the STL. Okay, now I'm going to close this. And I'm going to show you what this STL looks like. So I've changed the camera over to the slicing software. Again, this is what I use when I need to slice it, your designs for printing. And I'm going to import the image I just created, and there's the cube. So you can see that it is got a C embossed, a B embossed, and on the other side there's an A embossed. All right, so there you go. And then I can, again, let me show you, since we're doing this, let me show you what it looks like when I slice. So when I bring a file in here, it gives me the factures and the sizes. So right now I have a 20 millimeter to 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters by 2 centimeter cube. And sometimes there's going to be a little markup here that says you have a big problem, and I can attempt to fix it. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Infill is how hollow I want it to be. 0 infill means just print the outside shape. 5% infill gives you a crazy empty grid. So I'm going to go ahead and slice it. What the slicing software just did really fast is it took the design and it cut it into little teeny pieces. Okay, so that's what slicing software does. It cuts it into tiny pieces. Now, infill basically means you're not going to print it as a solid block because that would take forever and it would give you a lot of warping issues, and you don't want a big solid piece of plastic anyway. So that's 5% infill. Let me show you what 80% infill looks like. So if I slice it with 80% infill, that's 80% infill, meaning 80% filled up. 100%, wait, okay. 100% is, are you sure you want to do 100%? It's like, no, you can't do 100%. Yeah. So shoot 100%. Yeah, you really want to do 100%. All right, sure, okay. That's 100%. Totally solid block. Ugh. Anyway, what I usually do for most prints is we print at 10 to 15%. 20% is something, if something needs to be solid, 20% is pretty good. If you don't care it to be all that solid, 10 and 15% works really well. All right, so that's what the slicer software does. It divides the print into a bunch of empty pieces. So the very first layer, what's going to happen is the slicer, it's going to show up on the scene, or the pen's going to show up on the scene. It's going to draw that. It's going to draw what's called the skirt. Basically, that's kind of a purge line to make sure everything's working properly. And then once it's done the skirt, it'll start painting out the A, go around the A, and so on. Then it'll start filling it in the A. So this is really neat. So this is actually what it does. And it's done with layer 1. Okay, and go to layer 2. And then layer 2, it'll do the same thing. It'll go around and after a couple layers, it stops building the skirt. Again, the skirt is just there to make sure that everything is calibrated properly, and it builds it up and 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 up. Okay. Now again, I mentioned that because a lot of you gave me files that there's nowhere to print. It just couldn't print it. So like you're trying to print in air. Like right now, if it tried to print the A, it might have a lot of trouble with this A because there's nothing to build onto. Again, plastic needs to be built onto something, like on the surface. So right here, if it's trying to build, this is going to be fine. This is going to be fine. This is going to be fine, 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 fine. Now we have a problem because it's going to try to print over where there's nothing, basically print in space. It can sometimes do that. It's what's called bridging. It'll basically try, what I told you to do right now is basically draw bridges across this. It's not pretty, but it works pretty well for a small model. For a large model, it won't work at all. Okay, for instance, I'm going to make a 300 scale model. This is going to be a gigantic cube. All right, so same cube, now it's 400 layers. And it's going to be just fine printing. When we get to this point where it tries to bridge this, see this really long bridges right here? It's not going to be able to do those really long bridges. So what we need to do is put in support material. And a lot of you got your printer like, why is there all this plastic all over my model? I wanted it to be like the replicators in Star Trek. It can't. So we go to support material, we enable support material, and now it's going to say, yeah, I'm going to put something in the way. so that bridge has something to stick to. Okay. So like to see here, you can see the support model material here. It's like I can't print anything there. There's not. You're basically telling me to print in space, so I'm going to put a scaffold around it. Kind of like a painter who needs to paint a house, they got to put a scaffold around the house so they can get to everything. Okay, that's support material. It takes extra time and it has to be broken off when you're all done. All right. Again, hopefully this video was helpful. This week's assignment. You're going to be embossing something into a cube. Don't care how many shapes you put on your not cube, on a die. Don't care how many shapes you put on a die. You can make it 4-sided, 6-sided, 10-sided, whatever. And then you can make it rounded if you want. I made mine rounded because it's fun. Don't have to if you don't want to. But that's going to be your this week's assignment. All right. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, as usual, email. All right. Bye bye.